Toys for Bob seems to be giving fans hope for a brand new Spyro title, but I have also been able to piece together some new pieces of information that shines a brand new light on the Spyro situation. And there's good news and bad news, so let's talk about it. What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Spyro video. Toys for Bob is a studio that loves to tease their fans, from cryptic social media posts to sneak peek previews. However, once in a while too, they slip up and forget to censor some details and stuff gets leaked a little bit early. This post, for example, all the way back in August 2019, had concept art for Crash Bandicoot 4 on display. The post was then taken down, but of course the damage was already done. Since then, Toys for Bob has been very careful with their social media posts, blurring out sections of images and cutting off anything that might reveal some sensitive info. But the info that is revealed in some of these posts is sometimes enough to start weaving together a hypothesis and theory. Now, on December 18th, 2023, Toys for Bob shared this picture. By using a process of elimination and rational thinking, Toys for Bob seems to be working on a brand new game. The tweet says, quote, "We took some time out to get together and share our latest experiments in UE5. It was a full day of excellent presentations with plenty of learnings and fresh ideas for the new year." In the picture, we can see around 20 Toys for Bob employees looking at two different monitors. And as usual, whatever is being shown on the monitors is censored and blurred out. Meaning, very obviously, there is content on these monitors that cannot be revealed as of yet. So let's break some things down. UE5 is Unreal Engine 5, which is a game engine that video games are built in. What Toys for Bob was doing here was simply showing experiments and discoveries that they found for this engine and how they can be implemented. Now let's focus in on this for 1 second. Unreal Engine is made by Epic Games, making it a third-party engine. Games like Overwatch and Call of Duty use what's called a first-party proprietary engine. This is an engine that's custom built specifically for those games, which means whatever is on these screens and whatever is being tested is not anything Call of Duty or Overwatch related. In fact, there have only been 3 Activision IPs made in Unreal Engine: Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and Tony Hawk, with Toys for Bob developing the Spyro Reignited trilogy, Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, and Crash Team Rumble. But why is this important? Well, Crash Bandicoot 4 and Spyro Reignited trilogy were made on Unreal Engine 4, not 5. More specifically, Crash Bandicoot 4 runs on version 4.24 and Spyro Reignited runs on version 4.19. Additionally, and honestly more importantly in this example, Crash Team Rumble also runs on Unreal Engine 4. That would mean that whatever is on these screens is not from any of those games, as they were made on Unreal Engine 4, and these tests were using Unreal Engine 5, meaning that this is not future Crash Team Rumble content. This is a project that is yet to be announced. Now, my lizard brain looks at the blurred photos and sees a massive amount of purple, and by default I'm thinking that it's Spyro related. But we need a bit more than just the color purple. But then, my brain flashed back to October 2023, 2 months before this post. During this time, I got to sit down with Spyro Reignited's creative director and Toys for Bob's co-studio head, Paul Yan. We talked about Spyro Reignited and the development behind remastering such an iconic trilogy. But at the end of the interview, I launched a question that I didn't even know would get answered, and this was his reply.
But I agree with you. I agree that Spyro deserves a new game. And it's pretty clear there's an audience for it. We've got some interesting times ahead for Toys for Bob and for Activision in a greater sense. We'll see. But I guess I'll flip it back over to you.
Oh.
Hypothetically, if someone were to embark on making that new game, what are some other games that you'd be looking at?
Now, Paul Yan repeatedly says hypothetically. So for the sake of legality, so that none of us get in trouble, let's just say that what I'm about to talk about is also hypothetical. When development for anything begins, ideation is important. You essentially take an idea board and start throwing sketches and ideas at a blackboard. In a previous interview I had with Lou Studdard, when we were talking about the development of Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, he confirmed that Toys for Bob does this exactly.
The way that we kind of started was what we called the big black conspiracy board. We had these giant black foam core boards throughout the office that we'd pin stuff onto, and we ended up doing like this kind of draft of characters where we had a whole list of characters, and then we were trying to plot, narratives and usage and things out of them.
So Paul Yan countered my question about Spyro 4 with another question as well, essentially asking that if a team was hypothetically working on a new Spyro title and we're looking at other games to draw inspiration from, what game would I choose? If you watched that video, you would know that I picked Okami. Now, as development and ideation continues, prototyping these ideas would be the next step, running tests and figuring out whether or not these ideas would work, especially if you were working on a brand new engine. And it just so happens that 2 months later, after my interview with Paul, Toys for Bob posts that they have been doing tests on what we have determined to be a brand new game in Unreal Engine 5. So, to me, this hypothetical question that Paul asked me gives me a hypothetical thought that when we were doing this interview in October 2023, the Toys for Bob team at the time was potentially, hypothetically, blackboarding ideas for a new Spyro title, hypothetically. Now, what I'm about to talk about might be the news that caught many of people's attention recently, especially if you've been looking at any gaming journalist media. On January 5th, 2024, about 2 weeks after Toys for Bob posted that they were working on a title in Unreal Engine 5, the official Spyro account posted this photo with the caption, 2024 motto. In it is a picture of Spyro and the quote, "You gotta believe."
Wow, I never thought I'd be rescued, especially by such a little dragon. What I mean is, I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe.
Oh, and of course, fun fact, this is a reference to Parappa the Rapper. So let me just spell this out. Spyro's motto for 2024 is, "You gotta believe." But believe in what though? Let's break this post down even more. 2024 just so happens to be the Chinese Year of the Dragon, which is interesting because this screenshot is from Spyro 3's Yeti Racing. And of course, Spyro 3 is called the Year of the Dragon. But the quote that's used is from Spyro 1. Additionally, the message of "you gotta believe" being 2024's motto in this tweet seems to come off as "have hope and believe," especially in the context of how it's said in the clip after Spyro saves a dragon. So I think the post is being very much on the nose and tongue-in-cheek and is saying to have hope and believe in Spyro. Now, if you think what I'm saying is a stretch, trust me, Toys for Bob has a history of cryptic tweets, and I have covered nearly all of them in the past, from Crash Team Racing being teased in a random Spyro post, to Crash Team Rumble's logo being teased through numerous tiny Easter eggs over a year before it was announced, to Spyro's inclusion in Rumble, and many more. Toys for Bob have had posts that were even more of a stretch in the past when it came to cryptic messages in comparison to what I'm talking about today. So it is on brand for them to be sending out tweets that sends the community into a scurry. So when you pair all three of these things together, along with numerous other pieces of evidence that we have collected over the years, it not only suggests that a game is in development, which is amazing news, but it even gives us a small timeline, which sadly is actually also the bad news. Now, we spoke about this before, but when a brand lies dormant on social media and then suddenly pops up with constant social media activity, like the Spyro Twitter page, along with Spyro becoming officially registered across a number of other social media pages and paid to be verified right out of the gate, it's something to pay attention to. In this case, the Spyro account's activity catapulted into space when the Twitter page decided to participate in Spyro Community Day, tweeting about it on September 1st, 2023. Since then, the page has been consistently posting, especially compared to the past where they would go months without saying a word. A month and a half later, Paul Yan would then have this groundbreaking interview with the channel, hypothetically asking what a team working on a new hypothetical Spyro 4 should look to for inspiration, hypothetically. 2 months after that, we would see that Toys for Bob is working on a brand new game in Unreal Engine 5, doing tests and prototyping new things, along with all the screens being blurred out. And finally, we have the "You Gotta Believe" post, less than a month later. Now, there is one more thing that we have to add to this timeline. What is it? Well, it's the Crash Team Rumble release date. Now, Crash Team Rumble launched in June 2023, which was the project that Toys for Bob was focusing on with ongoing current live support. Now, why is focusing on this date important? Well, the likelihood is that Spyro 4 would not have had any significant active development because of Toys for Bob's focus on Rumble. So that would mean the hypothetical development of this new Spyro title would have started in full swing, possibly between July and August 2023. How much work done on it before that time is a little bit in the zone of unknown. So again, what exactly is the bad news? Well, let's do simple math. If the game started development at best the start of July in terms of full active development, how long do you think it's going to take them to make the game? If we look at Crash 4's development schedule of 2 years and give Toys for Bob the exact same amount of time, we would be in 2025. Additionally, Spyro as a franchise is much more open and has spaces that are significantly bigger than Crash Bandicoot's. So it's possible 2 years isn't even enough time. Now granted, Crash 4 had a design overhaul coming from the Insane trilogy, while Spyro wouldn't need as much of an overhaul as the franchise aesthetic was already overhauled in Spyro Reignited. So it is possible that maybe 2 years is enough. But nonetheless, like the poster says, you gotta believe. Now, many of you might be saying, hey, wait, if Spyro isn't likely being released in 2024 during the Year of the Dragon, what is its significance? Well, here's another piece of good news. The Year of the Dragon is the perfect time to announce that a game is in development. Even if it's a straightforward basic announcement. Maybe after a year of work, there would be enough material to announce that a new Spyro title is in the works. However, the following message I have is a bit more direct, so I'm going to take it down a notch. I have been loving this new era of content, especially from Crash Bandicoot. I love the Insane trilogy, CTR Nitro Fueled, Crash 4, and Crash Team Rumble. But I want to acknowledge the frustration of dedicated Spyro fans as well. Spyro Reignited came out in 2018, and we just hit 2024. It has been 6 years since Spyro fans have been able to experience a Spyro adventure, and it's been 20 years since the last original game that tapped into the OG Spyro formula with Spyro: A Hero's Tale. Now, playing as Spyro in Crash Team Racing and Crash Team Rumble has definitely helped and alleviated that, and it is wonderful to see Spyro being recognized and still seen as relevant, and I really don't want that to stop. But fans are hungry for a new game, hungry for something new, and I know, you know, we all know that there is clearly a market for Spyro. Now, I also know that the 2020 pandemic rocked the entire world, including Activision and Toys for Bob. At one point, they originally had Crash Team Rumble planned to release in 2021 before the pandemic had happened. But after the pandemic, the game came out in 2023. That is a 2-year lockup. So fans should also understand that things haven't been as smooth as peanut butter over on the development end for Toys for Bob. However, it is 2024, It is the Year of the Dragon. Please, Toys for Bob, if you have a Purple Lad in development, then you gotta announce it this year. You don't have to show us anything. It could be purely CGI. It could be a title reveal. It could be a verbal announcement in some random interview, but some kind of an announcement. I know the old Activision marketing trick is to announce titles when they are a few months out from releasing. But if my timeline is accurate, then there's going to be a lot of disappointed fans, because then the game would be likely announced in 2025 and not in 2024. And if 2024 ends with no announcement of a Spyro title when everything was set up perfectly, there is going to be a lot of disappointed fans and a lot of people who will absolutely lose hope in a title at all. I personally am theorizing that it will be announced in 2024. But if a 2024 announcement plan is not set up as of yet, I am hoping that this little message, this little video, is the snowball that leads to an announcement. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.